going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 4 of DAimpact Zone. Yes, that was a Fortune 4. Your worldwide leader in nonsense. Speaking of which, alongside me is the Paige to my Saraya. What's going on, Max?
What's up, man? I'm glad there's a couple people that I could have been the, Page to your whatever. I'm just happy you chose Saraya.
Speaking of consequences for our actions, so yeah, it's good to have you back, Max. We've been
Good to be back.
loving doing this show, man. It's different, and hopefully leads to some other things as seasons approach in the sports world. We'll see what happens. But sticking with Impact, well, actually, you know what? Stick with that. Let's stick with Saraya Page, whatever you want to call her. The breaking news of the week. She announces that on July 7th, Thursday, July 7th, nonetheless, she will be a free agent for the first time in WWE since she was, 18 years old?
Yeah, 17 or 18.
Yeah, it's crazy.
How old is she now? Hold on,
I
let's
think
Google.
she's only 31. 31.
Man.
Well, while you look...
29.
29?
So yeah,
I
11, 12
thought Del
years.
Rio put a couple years on her. That's why. So 29. God, man, I feel like I've been watching her since she was a child. Well, I have been watching her since she was a child. But so with all that being said, we can agree that this is a tale of two situations, two scenarios here.
Correct.
You have her at number 12 there. Obviously, if it's in one scenario, which would be the positive, I imagine she would be much higher. Can you go into how you got to number 12 and where you're at with her as a free agent?
Yeah. So obviously, when you're looking at Paige and you're looking at our rankings, character-wise, she's a great character. Name value, even though she's been off TV for a long time, still has huge name value. Mic skills, she's good on the mic. In terms of where she would fit on the card, she's instantly would be a top could win the title the same night. Hell, WWE gave her first Divas Championship the night she debuted, so definitely there. The primary issue is her in-ring work is she's either a 4.5 or a 0 because you don't know if she's ever going to get cleared to wrestle.
Right.
So if she's cleared to wrestle, she's probably one of the top 3 people, if not the number 1 ranked person, because we're going off best case scenario where this is Paige who's coming off, obviously, like you said. Yeah, she could
go.
Neck is fine. Yeah, similar to Daniel Bryan, Bryan Danielson, he came back after the concussion thing. He's like, I can go, I can wrestle, and they're like, boom, you can do everything you can do.
Yeah.
Like, this is best case scenario. She comes back, similar to Edge, and she's like, I can wrestle at peak performance. She would probably be potentially your top rated person because.
That's fair. I mean, she right off of Total. I know it sounds silly, but the draw of Total Divas, no matter what it is another demographic that does have some kind of following.
Yeah, and I mean, she's better in the ring, obviously, than Bray Wyatt and all that. So she's there. If she can't wrestle, though, she drops down to the mid to low 20s, 22, 23, somewhere in there, because.
What do you do?
Yeah, what do you do with her? Like, she could be a manager, and I think she'd be a great manager for a heel tag team, or even just put her with somebody who can't talk. But when you're talking about free agents, she's gonna cost so much money. Like, she's not gonna be someone who's gonna sign for cheap because of all the positives that go with her. And if she can't wrestle, and you're gonna end up shelling out that money just for a manager, she drops pretty low, and I almost would say potentially off the list to the point where Impact may not even consider her, just because of what does she bring to the table
compared to what
what
you're paying. Yeah. And that's so that's my next question is we'll put Impact to the back burner for just one more moment. Say the landing spot. Well, let's say she's in best case scenario, worst case scenario, right? Still a great player. I think if it, no matter if it's best case or worst case, you think the main priority for her would be an AEW?
I would think so. Just because that would name recognition, she'll get out and get seen more people. Sure. But at the same time, her boyfriend, I don't know if it's her fiance, but is a is a
Right.
musician. So he obviously travels for that. So doing something like Impact to where maybe you work once, twice a month, and then
Yeah.
you have the ability to travel with him may be an advantage to her. But I definitely think, you know, if she can go in the ring, there's a possibility that Impact does get her.
Yeah.
If she can't, though, I think AEW is the place for her to go because I think that would be they would offer her the money.
Expendable money, yeah. So
Yeah.
now with the Impact thing, so it's not a matter of, and I want to clarify that because I know where your head's at. It's not a matter of, oh, Impact wouldn't want her. Of course they'd want her, but where we're
Correct.
at in a financial state, and I just talked about that on the podcast. Where we're at, we have to be smart with our. I don't purchases is a bad term. With our spending,
With your
with our
contract, yeah, with
contracts.
how you spend. Just like I'm sure Impact would have loved Cody
Oh, right.
when he left AEW, but there was no way they were going to match what WWE threw
right.
at. So it's just kind of like,
You know, in regards to Impact and her, say she says, you know what, wrestling is the priority. I know the schedule. I could probably do, let's see, they tape, even if they tape 4 things a month, and that's 2 tapings, house show, or not house show, but a plus special or pay-per-view, whatever.
yeah,
Okay. So say it's that light. You know her health anyways. We imagine that she would be cleared. You wouldn't want her wrestling every week anyways. Like of
Correct.
course we love Bryan Danielson and that he's getting to wrestle. You know, obviously homer for him since day one, but you don't want to take that approach with someone that you would be investing in. So you could create a schedule where 4 of those times she's wrestling 1 to 2 matches, 1 being a tag team,
Yeah.
and then the rest being backstage vignettes because of who she is. You're trying to put the prestige there. You're not trying to water or oversaturate it. Is it worth it if she gets the clear and she requires a high premium pay-wise? Is this an investment you take a swing at? I know we talk about Wyndham, we talk about Cesaro. Is this a game changer in that sense where you say, look at our stacked knockouts division, is this really the priority for us?
I mean, I think it potentially could be, because she's a different type of big name. Like she is someone who extends because of, like you said, the Total Divas thing. That picked up a whole different. Like we talk about, there's no casual viewers in wrestling.
Right.
That obviously picked up casual viewers. Maybe they watched WWE, maybe they didn't. But casual viewers are going to watch Total Divas, Keeping Up with the Kardashians, things like that. And her coming in, you're going to get people, probably WWE people, who just want to say, I want to tune in and see, can she still wrestle?
Right.
Because it's been years since she's done anything. So I feel like, and I think also her being in the knockouts division also gives you some freedom to move some people like that you may want in the knockouts division to be like, hey, we can combine you in a tag team and have you do the tag team division because we don't need you carrying the knockouts division, or we already have a big name there, and we want to save Deonna versus Paige for down the road instead of it happening a week and a half into her showing up on TV.
Yeah, so. And then jobbing out on not Velocity. What is Explosion? Or whatever it was back then.
Impact Dark. Explosion, whatever it's called on YouTube.
So that's a great segue. Let's actually use that to get jump around a little bit here. I made a whole graphic for Saraya, so let me just put it up there. I forgot about it. So let's swing over to the depth chart, because you talk about it all the time where the overflow of knockouts singles can overflow into a creation or necessity for the knockouts tags. I don't think we're in as bad as of a tag position as some do think. 88 minutes of television, you got to pay 2 people to be in a tag. There's a lot that goes into that. But with that being said, looking at it there, you got Taya and Rosemary, which seems to be the case for, no spoilers of course, but seems to be the case for Slammiversary. That leaves Havoc with kind of in the, how is she going to feel in kayfabe? How is she going to feel about that? Is there a returning Su Yung who could come into play with her? Tasha and Savannah are still there. You got Giselle looking for a tag team maybe after Masha is done with Lish. I think Renee Michelle would be a good one. Lady Frost might come back. So depth. The big one from this week, and that's kind of plays into this, is if you're saving Deonna matches because you're putting Deonna possibly here with Chelsea Green, something that we've been clamoring for a while for, someone that adds instant credibility, both of them, to that division. Not only your thoughts on that and how important it is to have two big-name knockouts moving over to this division while still maintaining a pretty deep-ass knockouts division, where what you were just mentioning with Paige, Saraya, where that would come into play.
So I actually like Deonna and Chelsea teaming up. One, I think from Deonna's standpoint, she's so good that if she's in the if she's a singles wrestler, she's always going to be in the title.
Yeah. Yep.
And as much as I like Tasha, Deonna's going to beat her. It's just, unless there's interference, and unfortunately, if she's teamed up with Chelsea,
ain't gonna be no
interference is going to counteract each other. So I think putting her into the tag picture allows her to once again be a major player in something, and it allows other women, whether it's Taya, whether it's Mia Yim, whoever it is, to kind of get in there and be champion and build their legacy there, and not have this weird Deonna hanging over them is like, when are you going to face you're avoiding Deonna Purrazzo because you know that she's there.
Right.
So
looming in the shadows, you're just a placeholder in the sense.
Correct. Yeah, because you know that she's their big. It's like if it's like when somebody else holds it in WWE besides Roman Reigns, you know Roman's coming.
Right.
But if Roman's teamed up with The Rock for a tag team run, you're like, okay, cool. I don't have to worry about that.
Buys us some time.
So,
right.
Yeah. So I think that's a good one. And I just think that if Paige Saraya would come in, I think it allows them the flexibility to move some people around there and still have a knockouts division that people say is still really strong, and not like, oh man, they moved Deonna and Chelsea to the tag team. Well, what do you do now? Who's going in? I really don't think that's an issue anyway, because you have Taya.
So look at that.
Jordan Grace is
look
there.
At the depth chart here.
And Mia Yim. Like, those three could be your big feuds for the next couple months. And also, if one of them wins a title, you obviously have Tasha as a rematch that happens right away. And so
personally, I honestly think, say even if Tasha drops it at the Slammiversary, we'll talk about that in a bit. And she goes right to the tag division, right? So we get the build of her, she goes to tag. Chelsea and Deonna go to the tag division, right? So there we're looking at still Taya Valkyrie or Rosemary, unless they're in the tag division.
Yeah.
Mia Yim, Jordan Grace. Obviously, there's a Giselle in there who's an up-and-comer. You got Masha, who's killing people left and right, literally.
You've got the Influence, who, if they drop tag belts, can then, one or both, can then take a run and be a legitimate challenger for the title. So,
and that's the point is to get to my question, even if you were to do that, you say, hey, we're going to go balls to the wall with this Knockouts tag division. Let's put all of our eggs in one basket. Still, that other basket that had all the eggs originally in the Knockouts division is still pretty damn full, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And I just wanted to see if we were on the same page with that. I don't think there's a dire need, but if she were to come in, I mean, that whole universe is...
I still think there's obviously that chance, and I don't know if it'll happen, but obviously we know that Morrissey and Deonna went over to AEW. There's always a chance that you reach out to Tony and say, hey, Tony, can you give me one of your women who can come over and do a quick program just for a monthly special?
Well,
it's going to be a 1 month special program. Sure. And there's always that opportunity as well.
And you have Mickey popping back up as the special enforcer for this Queen of the Mountain match. So could she be coming back for another run? She was never off the roster page. I personally think that there's a good tie between NWA and us. I think that will develop, and I think that's part of it. Also, you never know. Who knows if Naomi and Sasha come around. But
possibly.
But let's keep on the depth charts. Obviously, it looks a little empty there. We have Cardona, who got injured. Myers coming back and kind of staying in the picture here. Obviously, the DCM or DMC picture. PCO, even though he keeps losing, it doesn't matter. He's still climbing the ranks here. Macklin, who's continuously winning, who I think would be a great next step for that digital media championship. Main event scene, I still think is the glaring need here. Are we still on that? Besides for Paige, Saraya, and July, is there something, and we could play this in a Slammiversary even, is there someone that you would love to see to just clean up house?
I mean, I do definitely agree that the main event scene is probably your weakest. I don't know if we officially had him there, but I know we had talked about Jay White
Right.
as a potential contender. And obviously now that he's IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, it's like you're not going to put him into a program.
Belt collector number 17.
I would say, he does call himself,
Catalyst.
the true belt collector, the original belt collector. So maybe he does, but I feel like you need somebody else there. I feel like whether it's Slammiversary, something would be a good time. I mean, Cesaro, I don't know what he's doing. EC3, I feel like if there's somebody out there, it would either be EC3 or Killer Cross would be the two people that I would like to see, whether it's a video package or some type of debut that I think are realistic and would be able to instantly step in and be like, hey, possibly. I mean, if you want to look a little bit further down the list, you could look at someone like Gargano as possibly a big enough name that he could come in and be in the title picture, but I think he would probably transition more into the X division would probably be a real cool thing for him, but he's somebody else who,
or even versus Rich Swann.
Yeah, possibly there. But I mean, I also think that Chris Bay is probably, I mean, I still think you can move Ace Austin up into the main event picture. Sure. But there's some things you can do, but I really do think that EC3, Killer Cross, one of those two would be a huge get, and I think someone that Impact should at least put a phone call out to if they already haven't.
Yeah, kick the tires. I mean, I understand the situation with Killer Cross. I understand EC3's situation, meaning he's doing his own thing and whatever. Two different scenarios. It's possible, man. Time heals all. I think both are very talented dudes. I would love to see. I've always loved, no matter what bullshit has happened, Killer Cross and Scarlett together. I thought they're a great package. We didn't get to see an Impact the first run. So maybe there's a possibility there. But yeah, even with Ace moving up, I think someone else is needed. We keep saying that. When is it going to happen? Could it happen? That Pandora box at TNA hasn't opened yet. But let's get to that. So we're talking about Slammiversary here. We have a banging ass card. We won't talk until after Slammiversary.
Correct.
Episode 5 will be the week following, but it will most likely have a lot more news for us to talk about. Don't know what it is, but we'll see. But with that being said, what are you looking forward to the most for Slammiversary? I mean, you have Moose and Sammy that just got announced for Monsters Ball. We already have the Queen of the Mountain. You have the main event tag match, which is now only. I know you're not caught up yet, but there is a Good Brothers and Briscoes on the Farm shit you need to watch and call me right away.
I heard about it. I haven't watched the episode. Unfortunately, I had sand soccer all weekend, so I wasn't able to watch it. I'll probably watch it after this. But I did hear that happened, so I'm excited about that. I know Carl Anderson is your new never openweight champion.
Interesting, right?
So maybe he's the belt collector.
Right.
Maybe he becomes tag team champion, and I don't know. But that match I'm interested to see because I think it's going to tell us a lot about what the plans for the Briscoes are going forward. Are they going to be gone, or was it just a short
and the Good Brothers
term thing? Yeah, I think even with the Good Brothers losing, I still think you'll see them back at Impact.
Yeah.
But if the Briscoes lose, I think it could spell that they're gone relatively quickly. The match I'm really most excited for, though, is the Impact Originals versus Honor No More.
Okay.
Because obviously there's two who are going to be the last two that come in. I know we've talked about AMW, we've talked about Beer Money, we've talked maybe a little bit of Curry Man coming back.
Wait, before you say anything, I do want to mention though those two spots. So the Ultimate X we played around with, we said, oh, who could it be? It was Alex Zane, which is not a disappointment. Alex Zane is a talented dude. It bases off stories with New Japan, ties it in, so that's cool to keep that relationship strong. But it has to be some kind of, they're calling them Impact Originals, by the way. Now, maybe that plays into it, but where are you headed? I'll let you go.
There's a team out there that I've been a pretty big fan of for a while.
Okay.
And if you've watched the show since the beginning, you know that I am a giant fan of the Johnsons.
Oh, my God.
They're TNA Originals. They were there right at the beginning. Imagine the
Max.
No Johnsons?
Max,
okay.
I love you, brother, but...
So, although I just figured, I haven't talked about the Johnsons recently. I figured it was a way to get. I saw somebody, mention
Mortimer Peltier, I
Plumtree,
didn't
and I
see
was
that.
like,
Yeah,
I was like, the Johnsons. But I don't know. I really think AMW to me still seems to
yeah.
be the one. Um,
Here's
unless you get somebody like Christian and you know
Daniels or
and Daniels,
Joe.
like those,
Yeah.
something like those types of people I
Mm,
could see. I don't know if Vince is gonna let anybody come back. Like I could see him letting AJ come back for
Bobby
a,
Roode.
but that's the thing. I don't know if he would. I don't. Maybe he would. I don't know.
You think he's like, oh, Bobby, we can't let you go do one match somewhere else.
I
You
just
got
don't
doing
know if
so
he like.
much.
I think he would be okay saying, "Hey AJ, go out there and get an award."
Oh
But I don't
yeah,
know if he's gonna want one of his wrestlers going out there and possibly getting injured in
that's fair.
a
It does
Impact.
nothing for him, so it's that's fair.
Correct.
Um,
Yeah. Whereas with AJ, it's like, "Hey man, just go ahead and get an award. Cool,
right
high five."
now, I'm actually think it's more probable to be someone from WWE than from AEW. I don't think the relationship here is that great. If you watch anything with the Good Brothers, they won't even say the words Forbidden Door. They won't even mention that term. I just think there's a lot of animosity still in the way that Tony does business. Now, with that being said, well, I think is someone that Tony has that contract should be running up rather soon, who are Impact originals. Could it be LAX? Do you think we see Ortiz and Santana make a return?
Now that would be awesome. Um, I would think that Tony is smart enough to realize that those guys, you shouldn't let them go.
He does.
But I mean, they may not want to
It's
sign on.
fit,
Like they may just say,
right?
hey, we don't want to resign. We want to leave. But I would think that he would look at them, because I look at them as guys you should be stars in your
I
tag
agree.
team division. But who knows? But I mean, that would be awesome. That would be the coolest
That
thing
would be dope.
if they came out. I mean, they would be Impact originals. It's weird though, because like when you think of Impact originals, I mean, is Hogan an Impact original? Could it be Hogan and Bischoff?
Are they banned here? No, they're banned in AEW. That's right. Not here. No,
So
I think there's a possibility that we could even find out this week. I know there were some spoilers out there. Now, I don't know if it's for this match, but there. I don't want to word it without, because I don't want to talk spoilers, obviously. But obviously, there's something that happens at this next coming show that could fill the gap, right? But I'm hoping that is like a Matt Morgan situation, a Chris Harris, a Shark Boy situation, when they come out, they wave, oh, roses.
it's a one-off,
one-off
type thing.
high, compared to being the final two participants. But I hope we're not
I saw
wasting a
some-
lot of talk for those who read spoilers.
I saw some people talking online about like Shark Boy. If it was Shark, I would be so disappointed if it was. I know there's some people out there who love them some Shark
Right.
Boy, but if it's like, oh yeah, guys, we're fighting for the hope of Impact, and fucking Shark Boy comes out, I'd be pissed.
Yeah. Well, my concern is that it's the one that got spoiled, but I hope that's a one-off, and because we spent a lot of time debating the excitement of who it could be. But I guess that's the point of this, is we still don't know who's going to enter the Hall of Fame, if they even announce one. We don't know who's in that video's Pandora box. Obviously it could just be a work, but every video seems to get closer to opening it. So there's something coming. Is it we wanted a gimmick battle royal. That would be pretty cool. But, other than the people we talked about, someone that's just kind of would make a lot of sense, maybe, not to put you on the spot, is there someone that could pop in that you say, oh, that's cool, that maybe isn't a long-term thing, is a one-time thing, that just gets a rise out of you? Not AJ, not anyone like that.
I mean, I know he just wrestled recently. RVD coming back might be interesting.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind seeing Kid Cash come
yeah.
back and just fuck some people up with the most brutal chops in the history
What
of the
about
world.
Rashad Cameron in the double nut stomp? Get Sanjay
That
back for
was-
one night.
Yeah, get Sanjay back and absolutely destroy someone's life. I think RVD would be an interesting one.
Yeah.
The problem is, like, if you bring him back, like, who do you bring back with him?
What do you mean? Like, for what reason?
Like,
or?
Well, no, like you need so it's two people.
Oh, you're
coming
speaking
in.
for this match specifically. Okay.
Yeah, for this match.
I'm saying
Yeah,
put that
so
aside though. I'm saying say
just
this
in general.
TNA box opens and it's not. I won't say the greatest of things because I think we would both agree is
Okay.
AJ, Sting,
Yes.
someone that's really relevant. Jeff Jarrett. I think this would be a shame if he doesn't come and crack someone with a guitar. But is there one that just is like, okay, might not be expensive, it might be a long term solution, it might not even be a short term.
I think RVD would be interesting. Yeah, I mean he was in Impact. He did good things in Impact, and kind of at the end when he wasn't wrestling was doing that whole
I loved it.
Shtick where that was he kind of I don't want to say he reinvented himself. I think he was just RVD at that point,
being himself,
just normal RVD. I think that would be interesting. I also think that
let's
maybe
pause
someone like
I think it might be Fate Max. Behind me is Kaz, Sabin, Curry Man, and I can't see because
Curry Man would be great.
And they never mentioned Daniels as Curry Man.
Yeah, they just never mentioned.
Konnichiwa.
Or like it's so like Curry Man comes out and then gets injured and gets taken to the back on a stretcher, and then Daniels comes running out as like the fifth guy.
And then Suicide comes out, and the Kazarian's back in the match.
Just like a rotation of guys. Like, wait a second.
Yeah.
I also wouldn't mind if the Pandora's box was somebody like Jonah. Kind of because I know there are
back,
people,
I think.
And there are people freaking out about the New Japan relationship. They're like, "Oh my God, it's ending. Why wasn't this happening?
No.
Like, why did Tony spend all this money to get this person, this person?" Well, because they're putting on a fucking pay-per-view together. Clearly, New Japan's not going to be like, "Hey guys, we're going to keep all our guys busy," and they're not stupid. So, but I think it would be interesting if there was something New Japan related that just kind of showed, "Hey, we're still."
I got you. Some kind of,
we're still focused on that.
Yeah, I think when it's a TNA box, so it's got to be pretty, not obvious, but transparent that it's got to be something TNA, right? Like I feel like that.
What are the Dudleys doing?
I don't know, man. Being an asshole somewhere, I don't know what he's doing. I think he was a commentator for NWA recently.
Was he?
Yeah. Team 3D is not really. But it's possible. I wouldn't be mad, and I mean this in the nicest way, where you look at the past, because there are a lot of names that aren't doing much or haven't done since the TNA days, and pay them whatever it may be to get them in to do a old Generation Me walk by, man. $200 a pop.
Yeah.
Everyone walks by, gets in scene. It would be nice to see, the randoms of the world. I know we joke Shark Boy, but he is part of that history. A Curry Man.
Crimson comes in the back, just like sitting in the crowd. Like,
I mean, if there's a section of the people, that I'm fine.
What about this? Crimson sitting in the crowd, goes to jump the guardrail, and security escorts him out of the crowd.
Oh, Jesus! I mean, if it's his little brother Red, I'd be fine with that. If Red comes back, I'd be happy with that. But I just think there's a lot to be excited about, and we might have a whole different depth chart by the time Slammiversary ends. So,
I mean, Slammiversary, and it's funny. People were talking like Eric Young, like when he was the number one contender, but he's a great character guy who, to me, is like a legit, obviously not a legit threat because he's not. Josh Alexander's going to win, but he's a convincing first match. To me, it's like, and I know I'm probably going to get shit for the AEW people, but it's like when Eddie Kingston is wrestling someone for a time. That bitch ain't going to win, but you're like, okay, but he's still a guy that I'm excited. That's exciting in the ring.
Tells a story
and tells a good story, good promo. Yep. Like, so all this stuff combined is a good challenger. The entire card itself, I mean, is really good, and I'm interested to see a couple things. I'm interested to see, like, Ace Austin is obviously now in Bullet Club after Jay White won, and maybe it was probably because Ace was there and Bay wasn't. But he mentioned that Jay brought in the inevitable Ace Austin. Didn't mention Chris Bay, so I'm interested to see. Now, it was probably because Chris Bay wasn't in Japan at the time. He's not going to sit there and mention somebody who wasn't there, but because he's literally tag teaming with Bay on the next episode. Clearly, I mean, but clearly Bay's still a member of Bullet Club. They're not teasing a split. But I'm interested to see how that just that story works out. What happens there going forward? Whether is it at Slammiversary? Because this will be, it'll be at Slammiversary. But like, are you going to see Bay and them interact as Bullet Club members, or like, where's that story going to go? So there's some things that I'm excited for post Slammiversary that have happened kind of outside that I think could be interesting. Once again, where do the Good Brothers go? What do they do? So,
there's a lot of moving parts here, and I think there's a lot of stuff that can happen for the short-term pop. I think there's stuff that can happen that can get us through a 6-month to a year block of having someone aboard that we don't have right now that you can see on in our depth charts. I think there's a lot of room for Impact to impress here, and I know getting back to the Eric Young thing real quick. I said it on the other show. It's like a Batman movie. You don't go to a Batman movie expecting him to die at the end. You just don't.
Yeah.
You know he's going to capture the bad guy for the most part, and you know he's going to win. And that's the same with Josh and Eric here. Is Eric, the Joker, whoever you want to put in him as an analogy here, is he going to win? No, he's not going to win. But you could still enjoy the damn story for 15 minutes,
Yeah, wrestling is best when you're not sure who's going to win.
Sure.
But it doesn't mean that when you do know that it's bad. Yeah. Like, it can be like there's been great matches when I don't think we've talked about it here, but when AJ Styles challenged Roman Reigns at like Backlash after his first, I knew AJ wasn't going to win, but it was still a hell of a match, and it was still exciting to watch. So there's situations where this guy's going to come out, like you said with the Batman movie, but it's still an exciting story that you're watching unfold.
And I also want to put it in our heads, but as well as plant the seed in the viewers, is that there's also a possibility that from match 2 to 9 is balls to the wall insane with crazy stuff happening. And at the end, we need a palate cleanser that is just a 5-star possibility of a match. Clean wrestling to represent what Impact was and is. I don't think you could go wrong ending the show with them. So,
do you think Ultimate X, since we won't talk before, do you think that opens the show? Or do you think it's Queen of the Mountain?
I think for structural purposes, it makes sense for Ultimate X. Then they could take it down, they could figure it out, whatever. There's a lot of moving pieces. You said Queen of the Mountain, there's a lot of moving pieces there. You got to bring out the penalty box, you got to make sure it's tied up, the hook. I don't know, man. I'm excited either way.
I love opening pay-per-views with Ultimate X. With X Division title matches, because it just, to me, it's a
TNA thing.
This is what TNA and Impact do. Like, if you wanted to talk about anything else, you want to shit on Impact, we do the X Division better than like
the originators. I agree. Well, it's either way. It's gonna be a crazy show. I'm excited. I know we'll chat during it, and we'll see the craziness, and then of course we will mark out on the next episode of this, episode 5, which will come the following Sunday. So we take a little bit of break here, but thank you guys for rocking with us. We appreciate it, making this one of the highest rated shows on our channel here. Not saying much, but still a nice, still nice little flowers there. All right, guys. Max, you want to say anything on the way out?
I'm just excited to see what happens. I think I'm really hoping that Slammiversary really sets us up well for a lead-in to Bound for Glory, because I'm really hoping we get some AJ Styles news. I'll take that over anybody else.
I'm hoping. I still think at the end of the day we have a Hall of Fame announcement either way, AJ or not. So either way, we're gonna have something to look forward to at Bound for Glory. But I agree with you. They need to take this momentum that I'm pretty sure they will get. And it's not a wishful optimism. It's just looking at that card, looking at the potential things that can happen, even if it's a nostalgic wave by somebody or a Hall of Fame announcement. This show is going to knock it out. The shows never suck. They're never average. They're always above. So I think this won't be an exception to that. And it'll be good momentum for the road to Bound for Glory.
And I mean, not only that, I'm trying to figure out when Forbidden Door is, because I think it's the next weekend, but I think there's gonna be the New Japan guys will probably be in the States, which means you have the opportunity for an entire Bullet Club run-in if something needs to happen. So there's things like that could happen as well.
Well, a lot to look forward to, a lot of exciting things that possibly can happen. I can't see who that is. Is that Kojima behind me? Speak of Teen Japan, that's great. All right, well, I'm gonna go watch that a little bit. Get this up there, guys. Thank you for watching. If you're watching at 9:15 live on the YouTube premiere, or if you're watching anytime in between, make sure you go back and check out all our content, including all of our nonsense. Max, pleasure as always.
Later, everybody. And G, it's a pleasure.
All right, goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.
Later, guys.